3, 2, 1. Hey guys, and welcome back to our channel. For those of you that are new, welcome. My name is Kristin.
I'm Megan.
And we are the Hale Sisters. So on today's episode of Family Ties, we will be talking about purpose. So we're going to be talking about purpose today, and we're just basically going to talk about what it is, why it's important, how you can find it, and really give you real tangible ways to do it. You guys know with our topics, we like to talk about things that are important in life and things that we feel like we haven't heard done a very great way.
Yeah.
So we feel like purpose is super important in life, and we feel like it hasn't been taught the easiest way that it can be taught, if that makes sense.
Or like always applying or adding on, I guess, to the messages or whatever it looks like, the practical things that you can like do or use to find their purpose.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. So what purpose is this really, really simple. So purpose is just the reason that you're on this earth. Like, why were you brought into this world to push out what? And so that's literally what purpose is. And like I said, people blow it up to be something bigger than it is. Don't get me wrong, I'm saying like it's important, but I'm saying like the definition is like so much more deeper and more elaborate than it needs to be. It's just why you're here. So
yeah, I agree. It's not that hard to comprehend. I feel like I do think sometimes in the Christian community, like, because we say that purpose is so important, they make it seem so elaborate as to what it has to look like and what that like it all entails and just all these different things. And it's like, I mean, at the bottom line, all it is just why you're here and what you're gonna do. I think the why of the purpose is really important to be discussed or explained, which kind of like, why is it so important? You know, like, why do we need to know our purpose and things like that? And for me, I believe that purpose is important because most times, almost every time, your purpose is tied into somebody else's something. You know what I mean?
That's real.
So your purpose, you like walking in your purpose, you even taking the time to figure out what are all of the aspects of my purpose can be someone else's start, or can be a piece that like this person won't be able to reach another level or a different dimension of their purpose without you, because God is very big on community. And so it's not coincidental that he'll have different things like about us be tied into one another. So I think that's why it's important for you to like figure out your purpose for you specifically as an individual, so that way you can help other people like in your community and things like that. And then just kind of make sure that you're expanding and reaching the platforms that like you were always meant to reach, because I think sometimes we don't think big enough of ourselves. And so we're like, you know, it's just about me, and if I don't figure it out fully, you know, it's only gonna hinder me. When I mean, that's cute or whatever, but it's affecting other people, and most times it's not about you. Like most times what your purpose is or what it entails has nothing to do with what you want. It's like not about what are Megan's favorite things. It's like, this is what you're called to do, so do it. So I think that's one of the main things as to why it's so important to know your purpose.
No, I definitely agree with that for sure.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I think for me, with my purpose, it was just hard to fully accept it, because like what you said, like it's not always gonna be like roses and sunshine.
Right.
Like there's gonna be times where it's like, why me? Like, why did you pick me to do this? I don't want to do this.
Yeah.
I don't even have the time like people, sir. So it's like, why would you call me to do that? So that's real. That's one thing that's important to also notice as well.
It's funny too. Sorry.
No,
but I'm like, it's so funny too, because a lot of times it's like where you feel uncomfortable, but it also is very easy to do. It's like how you know, like, that's for me. But it's like, I don't like it though. It's just like eating vegetables. You'd be like, this ain't my favorite, but I'm skinny, but it ain't my favorite, you know? So I feel like that's kind of sometimes how I do.
No, I agree with that. I completely agree. So real quick, we're just gonna touch on probably why you're here, which is figuring out how to find your purpose and like how to even like once you figured out like a little piece of it, like how to find out the rest of the puzzle. So for me, one thing that I did was I was actually reading this like devotional, which I'll link it. I think I can find it. I'll try to link it in the description box. But it was basically just about like how this lady helped people find purpose. And so it was, she like asked you like 4 questions or something like that. And it was like, if you could do anything in this world, what would it be? If money wasn't an issue, who would you help? And
That's
what
good.
would you help them do type thing. And so that for me actually kind of helped me like kind of center all of my thoughts that were in my head that and like direct them into where I felt like it was going. So I think that that's really important. Another thing that I think is important on how to figure it out is just being intentional and watching like the things that, like you said, come easy, the things that come natural. And it's not always like, for example, like I'm good with like electronics and figuring out things. So I can like if I just sit down and just focus, like I can figure it out, and it's not gonna be that difficult for me to figure out. However, that's not my purpose at all. So one thing that I did notice though is that there are pieces of me that come naturally that help my purpose 110%. And so part of my purpose is, you know, talking to different people and helping them to push out what God has placed inside of them. And so with that, I have a podcast, which with my technology skills helped me to be able to push out that podcast at a more affordable rate than having to go out and outsource all of those tools. So things like that, paying attention to the things that are easy to you or that come more naturally to you, and then it's going to be like a wide path, and as you go down that path, it's going to get more narrow, and you're going to figure out like, this isn't my purpose, but this is a piece of what's going to help push my purpose.
Right.
So
that's good. I think you made like good points as to like how you may be good at something naturally, and that may not be exactly what your purpose is, but it can be tied into like, this is going to help you be able to birth out your purpose in different ways. For me, it was a little different because like I kind of grew up like always singing, right? So
always,
literally I sang before I ever talked. So that's all I've ever done. So it was different like compared to like Kristin, who like, it was like she had to like really figure out like, okay, like I like this or I'm good at this, but like, does this mean this is my purpose? And for me, I was like, I always knew like, okay, singing is my purpose, but like what that looked like is what I was like missing. So for me, I mean, it sounds so basic or generic, but like praying to figure out like,
no, that's real.
I know I can sing, thank you, Lord, but what does that look like in terms of, you know, reaching other people, or like, what am I supposed to do with this? And so for me, like my purpose is bridging the gap between the secular and the Christian world. And so it's like changing the way that the world sees the church and the church sees the world. And so I used to...
Makes sense, don't it? It does. So
whatever. And so I used to struggle in a way because like I was always raised in the church, things like that. So I was just like, well, what does that look like? Dude, that mean I'm about to be out here like wilding, like, Lord, explain. But I was like, let's talk about it. But as he's giving me different things, like for instance, that saying that I just said, it was like, okay, different things started to make more sense. So different connections I would make, different friendships I would have, even different ways, because I like write music. So like different ways that I would be writing, I was like, oh, that makes more sense now. And so like I used to always think also that it was like only singing, and it was like the more and more I pray on it, the more and more, like Kristin said, you like see what comes naturally to you and then see how that ties into what you already know. It opened my eyes like, oh well, it doesn't only have to be me singing, it could just simply be my voice. So that can include so many other things. And I feel like sometimes we have to be careful to not let like other people limit what our purpose looks like, because like for me, I'm saying something
again.
Oh, okay. So I said sometimes we have to be careful not to limit our purpose based off what other people say. And so for me,
man,
you felt that.
I did, because so many times like people around you can see something for you.
Yeah.
And then it's like when you are like wavering on your path, you're like, I could kind of see that too. Yeah. That might be right.
When
it's
you
like,
are all over the place and you're like, and that's normal, trust me. Like I'm saying, like me, and I talked to like my little brother, we always like talk about like we're very rare because like we knew our purpose like growing up. It was just very obvious for us. But then most times it's hard for you to be like, oh, this is what I'm supposed to be doing or whatever. Like this is what it looks like. And it's so easy to have people be like, I could so see you like this. I could so see you like this. People do that to me. Oh, that's right. They'll either send me stuff and they're like, this sounds just like you. I could so hear this like from you. Or they'll be like, oh my gosh, you about to be the next this. Y'all. And I'm like, okay. But I know, and it's only literally by grace and mercy, low-key, that I don't always waver to what everybody is saying. So like be careful, especially when it's fresh and you're trying to figure it out for yourself, not to be like, somebody's like, hey, I really think you would be good at playing this sport. And you're like, yeah, I could see it. And then they're like, oh my gosh, but you're also good at art. And you're like, oh yeah, I think I'm an artist. Like you have to be careful and mindful, and they could be right. Like you are good at that. You are good at this, but that doesn't mean like that is your purpose. So I think it's just being careful as to knowing you, like sticking to your heart and like what are the true desires of your heart, but also taking that time to like pray and ask God, like, can you show me more clarity, show me different things to let me know like what exactly is my purpose. So
I think one thing also, like to piggyback off of that, in one of our recent videos, we talked about comparison as well. And so I think it's super important not to compare your purposes. So good. Like, for example, like Megan's purpose, she just explained it. And it's like, not super explicit, but it gives you enough to know like, that's not me, this could be me type situation. But when we would talk to some of our friends, they would be like, you know, I don't know anything about my purpose. And I'm like, no, I think you do, because I remember us having conversations when you said this, or you said that you really want to open this, whatever. And they're like, well, I don't feel like that's a purpose though. I just feel like that's something that I want to do. I just want to open up a community center for people, but I don't feel like that's my purpose. And it's like, just because it's not like, you're going to be bridging the gap between this and this, doesn't mean that that's not your purpose. Like, and it can look though as though it's just another business venture, or it's just another thing that you want to start, or something that you enjoy doing, or another hobby and things like that. But that's why I feel like it's so important to continue down the path. And even if that looks like, okay, one thing that I'm really interested in doing is going on a mission trip. Go on the mission trip. See what happens. See if that's just something that you want to do on the side, or if that's something that's directly like affecting your purpose, or that's what your purpose is in life. So I just think it's super important, and that's the phase that I'm in right now of my life. And with my purpose, it's just making sure that everything is connected and making sure that I'm trying it, because I'm the person that's so quick to be like, nah, that's not it. Like, now I can't tell you what is it, but I can tell you what it's not. So just making sure you just try, like literally just try. If it's not gonna kill you, just try it out. Like, so I don't have anything else to say.
I think those are like the main tools, like just being more, I feel like a lot of the tools that we're like giving in this moment is like more like a mentality thing. So like be careful not to let people like sway where you're at right now. Be careful not to just think that just because it's a passion, that means that like it has to be something hard for it to be on purpose. Like that is not always how it is. And this is me, it could be totally a flesh thought, but I believe that most times it becomes easy for you that has something to do with your purpose. Like God wouldn't intentionally make everything so difficult for you to do if he knows that I need you to do this in order to do, like, for other people to be doing what they need to do. So I believe that like it becomes easy, like, yes, that can be that. And it always doesn't have to look like a certain thing. Like it doesn't have to be like this object means that this is what I do. Like for Kristin, it's like podcasts. So people are like, her having a podcast is her purpose. That's actually not. It's just a little cute little piece of it, but that's not her purpose. So I think it's just, you know, like we said, don't put yourself in a box, don't put God in a box, but also don't allow what other people have to say to sway your judgment and like get you caught up in possibly comparing like what their purpose looks like to yours. And things like that.
I got one more thing. I know I said it was
On.
the last thing I'm just gonna say is like, it's okay to not know. And this happens so much. Like, I have friends in the world, I have friends in the church, and on both sides, like, I've literally had the same purpose conversation with both sides of people, and like, they're like, Kristin, I literally just don't know, but I feel like it's so important for me to know. And I'm like, don't get me wrong, it is important for you to know, but you stressing yourself out about it, that's not the way that it's gonna go. Like, you just have to walk it out. So it's okay. It's literally okay not to know your purpose.
Yeah.
Just be diligent in trying to figure out the things that you do well. Start there. Start small. So
step by step, day by day.
So I hope this helped you guys. I hope that you guys are able to receive something from it. Join the conversation. Like, let us know, like, do you know your purpose? If you want to share it, right? Like, how you figured out your purpose, how you continue to figure out different puzzle pieces of your purpose and things like that. Like I said, we're going to list some tools in the description box so you guys have that as well. So check that out. That's all I got.
I got nothing for you guys.
All right, perfect. So make sure you guys have subscribed to this YouTube channel. You hit the bell for your latest and greatest notifications.
Period.
And that you are following us on all social media platforms. So you can follow us at _Hale Sisters. You can follow me at I am Kristin Joy _ and Megan.
I am Megan Hale.
So we will see y'all next week. Bye, y'all.
Bye.